Who hasn't had exposure to something that's gone belly up during the subprime crisis?
That's very
who
true.
hasn't?
Well, that's the thing, and luckily it was only 0.08% of
anyone
their
who's got
clients' funds,
assets
so
overseas or a business overseas or some sort of financial unit overseas has got exposure to this. Lucky in South Africa, it's very, very small for the average South African bank and the average South African client. It's very small.
Luckily today, though, the market ending
Yes.
up quite nicely makes a change from the rest of the week.
Yeah, look, I mean, the market's down, I think, 7 days in a row, down about 11% up to today's movement. Obviously, now it's only down, 9%. But if you look at what the market's done since it hit its absolute bottom in November, it's done this. It's gone up 15%, fallen 10%, gone up 15%, fallen 10%. So the volatility we clearly know is still with us. But what's happened in the last 10 days is not unusual. It doesn't mean that the mini little rally's over. I mean, who knows? But it doesn't mean that it's over. This has happened 2 or 3 times in the last couple of months where you get the strong rally and then a retracement and strong rally. I mean, there was news that came out today. You know, overseas banks are doing better.
Citigroup splitting into two.
But I mean, what do you do if you're faced with such a catastrophe? You've got to be seen to be doing something. So now they'll split it into 2, and probably 4 years' time they'll combine them again. I mean, these things go in cycles. But Bank of America got some money from the U.S. government. I'm not sure if it's 20 billion, because that's the one news broadcast said it's 20 billion. Other one said it's 160 billion. I doubt if it's that, because that's about 20 times bigger than the company is, but let's leave that aside.
Well, I don't think they'd complain if they got 160
Look, surprising enough, it's an interesting point there, Geoff, but they actually do complain, because they're selling control of their company to the government.
That's fair, and you
So
don't want...
So understand, you take that, people think, oh, it's free money, let's go and grab ourselves some of that. Look, if you're desperate, you have to take it, because the alternative is bankruptcy. But you're selling your part of your company to the government at, if things stabilize, what are more than likely incredibly low share prices given a 5-year view. So understand, it's not all smiles, and when you get these government, it comes with huge obligations and hooks, and the governments worldwide are going to run the financial system for the foreseeable future.
And of course that changes the whole complexion of Western capitalism.
Changes every single thing well, it certainly changes the last 6 or 7 years. It is very, very different. You are just not going to get the same instrument as what you got. But of course there's no demand for those instruments. So whether the government's in or not, that phase is over, because no investor will go back into geared hedge funds because they got burnt.
Although they'll probably go back in about 3 or 4 years, because we have very short memories, generally speaking.
All of these things work in cycles. But it's a good day in the market today, driven mainly by resource shares
Particularly
up about
gold
6%,
shares.
particularly gold shares. But I mean, Anglo American's up 8%. The gold shares were up 7%. Anglo's up 8%, Billiton up 5%. So it was the ones that had fallen are the ones that have gone up. The rest of the market was green, and the banks did reasonably well, but most of the action on the resource shares.
Speaking of financials, Glenrand's woes continuing, coming
Yes,
out with that very odd...
It's very
announcement.
interesting. They're saying that there's a malicious email going around, and this is what caused the share price to fall. Remember, it's fallen quite dramatically today. I think it's down 11% or 11.5% today. And they've sent out this news release, a SENS release, saying that there's malicious emails going around. And obviously part of the email was RMB Holdings selling their stake in Glenrand. Now, that's old news, that. I mean, they've said they wanted to sell for a long time. But it certainly did not help Glenrand's share price today. Of course, the biggest reason why the share price has fallen is that they've had numerous problems in their business. It's not this, if they were doing well and this email came out, the share price wouldn't be totally and utterly unaffected. The reason why the email has had such a major effect on it is because we all know they have got problems at Glenrand.
What did you make of Foschini's results? We are going to be chatting in retail. But
You've got to read very carefully what they say. They say better than expectations. In other words, the results were not good. They were just not as bad as what was expected. In other words, earnings went up, which is good. Sales were up. Like-on-like store sales were up 3%, which is lower than their internal inflation rate of 7%. So in real terms, they went back 4%, but that's a lot better than what people were expecting. If you actually take the headline number, it's not bad. So in other words, Foschini will still be making profits. Their profits might not grow spectacularly, but this is the first big credit retailer as far as I can remember. All the other ones have been mainly cash retailers, and theirs have been quite good: Massmart, Shoprite, Pick and Pay, etc.
And Truworths as well was
sorry, I forgot about Truworths. I didn't actually see Truworths. I slipped on that one, but it maybe doesn't look as disastrous as what we were all anticipating.
Talking about disaster, the World Economic Forum starts soon. The theme of that, shaping the post-crisis world.
Alex, what else can you talk about?
Interested in that, but possibly
that's
a little
sideshow for Alex.
Because he's hopefully going to get to see Emma Thompson
again. Yes.
Well, we'll have to see what happens there, but he is going to be there. He leaves Saturday a week, and we're going to be getting all the best news from him about shaping the post-crisis world, the World Economic Forum.